Hey, what's up guys? Everything Apple Pro here. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. We've got a lot of Apple leaks and news to discuss today, including the AirPods 3, AirPods Pro 2, iPhone 12 stuff, iPhone SE Plus, and an extremely long laundry list of other Apple products coming within the next year. You simply will not have enough money to buy all of them. I'd like to remind you just a few more days to go for my iPhone SE giveaway. Links down below on how to participate. And I'd like to share our case printed for the iPhone 12 Pro Max CAD that was leaked. I mean, this design is really growing on me. I love the flat edges. It feels futuristic in your hand, and I don't think comfort will be a problem at all. Corners are slightly rounded. I love the design. You know, it's not even real yet, but it's really growing on me. So let's talk about the iOS crash text first. This was sent to me and I posted it on Twitter, not knowing that it would crash several hundred people's iPhones from the notification. But essentially, there's another text bug in iOS where iOS can't handle what's being displayed in the notification. This is using Cindy Text, and it works on 13.4.1 and below, completely immobilizes the iPhone, makes it slow down and then crash on its own. Sometimes it's an instant respring, kind of crazy. So expect 13.4.5 imminently. Apple does not want to keep this around for much longer. Not to mention there are two very bad mail bugs in 13.4.1. Also, the rest of the iPhone 12 lineup, the CAD models will be leaked soon. They're floating around. I have not seen them just yet, but they're coming. So we're going to be able to see the rest of the lineup here fairly soon. Ming-Chi Kuo has been very active recently, starting with a new report on the iPhone 12 saying it will most likely be delayed, at least the millimeter wave models. So it's becoming more and more realistic that Apple will split up the lineup into a 5G 6 gigahertz spectrum release line and then a millimeter wave line that they'll be releasing later. I really wonder how they'll do that without making the lineup very fragmented, but he says the iPhone 6.7 inch will be the most late, the production only beginning in October of this year. The rest of the lineup production will begin in September, so still a bit delayed on those. Ming-Chi Kuo elaborates that a change in design of the antenna is to blame as to why the iPhone 12 lineup will be late, and the 6.7 inch is the most complex, further enforcing speculation that this will be Apple's Halo model, much like the S20 Ultra is Samsung's. Jeff Pu of GF Securities also chimed in, saying the iPhone 12 Pro Max will indeed be the most delayed, coming in October. Now, in the latest episode of Front Page Tech, John Prosser speculates that the iPhone SE Plus we've been hearing about in rumors is not in fact what we thought it was. What we thought it would be an iPhone 8 Plus successor in design, so same design, just newer internals like the SE was. But instead, he offers a better solution. This is the device, supposedly, that Ming-Chi Kuo was mentioning earlier that would have Touch ID in the power button, a 6.1 or 5.5 inch display, essentially a cheaper version of the iPhone 11 or 12 non-Pro models without Face ID. It would likely still have a smaller notch, according to Ming-Chi Kuo, but I'd like to think that Apple would put that in the bezel and give us a really cute device with a thicker bezel, but still all screen and embedded Touch ID in the power button. Would be pretty cool. This device was also rumored by Hyundai analyst group HMSec, where they mentioned the iPhone SE 3. It would have a 6.1 inch LCD display with Touch ID. It really does sound like this could be the solution there. And the mystery has been answered with which parts the iPhone SE shares with the iPhone 8. I'm surprised that Apple used the same camera. Those are interchangeable with the iPhone 8. Also, the batteries are not interchangeable, same size but different connector. Also, the SIM card tray, Taptic engine, and display assembly all replaceable. I'm surprised that the actual housing is not. And I'm ecstatic to hear that John Prosser is now confident that the iPad Pro will be receiving Logic Pro, Final Cut Pro, and Xcode in an iPad application. So the bridge between Mac and iPad is growing smaller every year. And John Prosser mentions that new AirPods, which we were supposed to see at the March event, are now ready to go and will likely be released next month alongside a MacBook Pro refresh. I'm not sure if that means in May or in June WWDC release, but we'll see. Ming-Chi Kuo, on the other hand, casts doubt on these new AirPods, saying they're more likely to be a Beats release than a new AirPods line. We heard that AirPods X would be happening to phase out Beats. They'd be a sport-focused AirPods line. We'll certainly see, but it's a little bit of a toss-up right now which device this could be. Ming-Chi Kuo also reports on several new AirPods products. Starting with AirPods 3, he believes that AirPods 3 will begin mass production in the first half of 2021. So we're not likely to see a refresh on those just yet, especially when AirPods are absolutely dominating there's no need for an immediate refresh, but they are coming. He believes that the exterior design will mostly stay the same. Most of the changes will be happening on the inside. So possibly a new processor, new faster connections, and improved Bluetooth even. In a separate report, Digitimes believes that Apple will be releasing AirPods Pro, but without the active noise cancellation. These could possibly be what we heard AirPods 3 could be, or possibly AirPods Pro Lite. There's a lot of confusion regarding these devices, but we know several new AirPods products are coming. And Ming-Chi Kuo believes that AirPods Pro 2 are coming, a direct successor to the current AirPods Pro line, and those would be coming in the second half of 2021 or first half of 2022. Now, it sounds a bit ridiculous to be releasing rumors this far ahead, but we thought the same thing about the iPhone 10 and 10s lineup, but those roughly were true. We'll learn more details as we get closer. In a separate report, Digitimes believes that AirPods Pro 2 were delayed to the second half of 2020 or later. So again, I believe there's some sort of confusion here between these models, as Digitimes is referring to them as AirPods Pro 2. Meanwhile, Kuo says those are coming in 2021 or 2022. And Prosser stands by his assessment that Apple will be adding or absorbing the Beats line into the AirPods side of their business. In a separate report, Mark Gurman of Bloomberg gives us details on Apple's upcoming over-ear headphones, saying that there will be two separate lines and that they will be modular. You'll be able to remove the actual ear cup and change it depending on the activity you're about to do. So one of those options would be a leather type ear cup. Another could be a lighter sporty material, so you don't get a bunch of sweat in there. He says the design will be quite unique. These are directly taking on the likes of the Bose 700 series. So you'll be able to remove and replace those ear cups. The actual mounting mechanism will come from the top of the earpiece, not on the side, like many of the over-ear headphones do nowadays. It'll be an oval-like design, very sleek, I'm sure, and it'll retain a lot of AirPod-like features, such as the H1 chip, the Siri integration, and potentially playing and pausing music as you remove this device from your head. Gurman states these have been in development since 2018, and with constant interruptions to the product line release, he says these will finally be releasing this year. And Gurman has dropped a massive report on the state of the ARM processor in Macs and where it's going and where they're at right now. So he's saying Apple is working on 3 separate versions of the ARM processor. These are destined for the MacBook line as they're not sophisticated enough to tackle Intel. Gurman believes we'll be seeing ARM processors in 2021, debuting in a portable Mac, so likely the MacBook 12-inch version, as confirmed from a separate source. And these will be 5 nanometer, so based on the Apple A14 architecture. And Apple's already working on a Gen 2 based on the 2021 iPhone. We don't know what the refinement will be there, maybe 5 nanometers refined, but he tells us that Apple is already working on Gen 2. Now these will be a 12-core processor, and the smaller the Mac, the more benefit it will gain. As in some portable Macs, we see a dual and quad-core processor. ARM tech would essentially double the cores in the same form factor. He also tells us that Apple is working on processors beyond 12 cores for future Macs. Also, one of the biggest benefits is that Apple will have greater control over the power, and the bridge between iOS and macOS apps will further be reduced, as we know that Apple is trying to bridge that gap, making it easier for developers to develop apps that are shared between iOS and macOS. Like Apple A-series processors or current Intel processors, they will have a built-in GPU, and Apple has been testing an A12X variant in Macs, so they know it works and they're fairly confident that they could have even released this tech in 2020. And Gurman reminds us that Apple has an insanely packed pipeline for 2021. So they're looking at releasing new MacBook Pros, new iPad Airs, an entry-level iPad, iMac, new watches, 4 new iPhones, HomePod Mini, AirTags, Apple TV, new AirPods, new over-ear headphones, in-display Touch ID, mini LED, 5G, and then of course the ARM Mac transition. Just looking at how much Apple is expanding here, it seems impossible to keep up with all those new products. In a separate report by an anonymous Twitter leaker that's been quite accurate in the past, shares that Apple is working on a number of new devices, including an iPad Air refresh with embedded Touch ID in the display. Also that Apple is working on a 12-inch MacBook with an ARM processor, which makes sense that this device would be the first one with that inside. Apple is also working on a game controller of their own, which is a smart move, and a huge list of unreleased Apple products, including an iMac 23-inch, which is a budget-focused Mac here. Apple is really expanding on the budget side of things and will be doing that further in 2021. And that leaker mentions that the iPad Air refresh would have a mini LED display. Also Jeff Pu of GF Securities mentions that the iPad Pro A14X refresh has likely been delayed into the first half of 2021, meaning that mini LED it was supposed to debut on this device will not be happening until 2021. So unless the Apple Watch Series 6 has a mini LED display, we're not likely to see this tech until next year. Oh, and wanted to say thank you to Pitaka for sending me their Air Omni dock system. Actually quite cool that you can charge all of your devices, including iPads, in one place. And UAG sent me their latest biodegradable cases. I thought that was a fantastic idea, thinking about the planet. Might do something similar with the Phone Rebel lineup in the future. All right, that's just about it. Stay tuned for our exclusive leaks with Max Weinbach this week. Peace.